Well, so I've been back at school for about a week, which is great. But what I'm going to talk about today is how I went up to visit Lexie over my spring break.
We, that's me and John, started our trip at the insane hour of 7:15 in the morning, when the sun was barely coming up over the horizon.
A lot of Highway 5 is pretty flat and boring, as I'm guessing you know. But once you get up to the northernmost part of California, it starts to be
Something worth looking out the window for.
We stopped about halfway through for gas,
In Mount Shasta City.
after which I took my turn at the wheel. So I don't have that much footage from after that, I'm sorry to say. But I can tell you that the last 60 miles I drove really fast, because despite having such a delightful traveling companion, I was ready to be there after 8 hours in the car. It was really amazing to get there. After a quick break in a tour,
We walked to the supermarket, where you will begin to see my overwhelming tendency on this trip to film food.
I refuse to tell you how much of the footage I got on this trip was of food. After dinner, which I surprisingly didn't film, we went back to Lexie's dorm room.
Which is beautiful, and sat there chatting and playing Story War and enjoying each other's company.
Now, if you don't know what Story War is, it's a storytelling card game where saying something like,
And the cornucopia cannonballs would be a pretty significant ability of attacking the whale.
makes perfect sense. The next afternoon, we went to brunch, at a cafe called...
Morning Glory.
And no, I didn't film our food. No, really.
Okay, you got me, I lied, but just try and tell me you wouldn't have.
Stuff looks delicious. And it was. And here's where I got really excited. We went to one of the biggest bookstores I've ever seen. Well, besides Powell's, that is.
They just had so many shelves of books from my present, my past, and no doubt my future. Not to mention... Yeah, I know.
Then we went to Voodoo Donuts.
Yeah, you guessed it. So that about wraps up the time we spent in Eugene, and as we drove back through the mist and rain, not talking much, something occurred to me. If you're like me, then sometimes it's tough to take your mind off the future and all the things you have to take care of, but when the only future you see is the next bend in the road, it feels simpler somehow. There's no deep philosophical message here, just that spending time in the company of good friends is one of the best uses of a vacation. On the surface, nothing all that special happened this trip, but really, it didn't have to. And as we passed back into home territory, I thought that I didn't want it to end. And to those of you I haven't seen in a while, well, I'll let this plastic lid do the talking. Wait, not that one. This one. I put a book on top of my organizer and wedge the camera in between the Post-its and the change purse filled with coins. Yeah, subscribe for more pro vlogging tips.